Hello everyone. Right, it's my first time trying this out, so I asked my clients for some Q&A stuff. So I've got three questions I want to talk to you guys about. Uh, Number one is how to train on a ketogenic diet. Number two is what to do if you're skinny and you're trying to put on weight. And number three, what was the third one? What to do when you've tweaked your back. Okay. Right. So number one, ketogenic diet. Right. So firstly, let's go over what a ketogenic diet is. So a ketogenic diet is a low carb diet where typically the um, amount of calories you're getting from carbohydrates somewhere like can be 5%, can be 10%. About 10% is probably the highest you would have of your total daily calories coming from um, uh, carbs. Okay, so most of your calories are coming from fats. The idea being with a ketogenic diet is that you get into ketosis, and your body gets better at utilizing fat for energy. Okay, um, ketogenic diet is really good for losing weight. Okay, the problem is it's absolutely terrible for training on. It's the low carbohydrate part of it just means you feel very like you feel low in energy, you don't have much intracellular muscle glycogen, the stores of that go down, you don't have much liver glycogen. So if you eat ketogenic for a day and a half, you're going to be fine. But if you've been on a keto diet for 3 or 4 weeks, um, then uh, the kind of the carbohydrate levels in your body, your muscle glycogen, your liver glycogen is going to be depleted. So you've got less of that store to kind of call upon. So and that's the substrate that you need to power your weight training, okay, your strength training to get stronger, right? So if you're not eating carbohydrates, you eventually whittle away at the stuff that's stored in your body, and you end up being very low on carbohydrates in your body. And if you're not eating to replace that, you start to feel lethargic during your sessions. You just don't have the strength there. It's not necessarily that you're actually got weaker. That usually doesn't happen. Um, Especially when 2 or 3 weeks. If you're pretty strong already, 2 or 3 weeks later, you'll probably still be pretty strong. The point is your training is not going to go well. If your training doesn't go well, you're going to be less motivated to do it. Therefore, when you are in a calorie deficit and you're not training with weights, that training with weights part is what actually helps you when you lose weight, and it stops it being, if you lose 10 kilograms, it stops it being 5 kilos of fat and 5 kilos of muscle mass. Okay. I would rather someone lost, uh, for example, they lost 6 kilos and like 1 kilogram was muscle mass and 5 kilograms were fat, than they lost 10 kilos and 6 kilograms were muscle mass and 4 kilograms were fat. You've lost way more weight on the second one, but you're less functional, less strong. You've got less muscle mass, which is all the protective benefits that comes with that. Okay, so um, my client's question was, what should I do with my ketogenic diet? Now, this is someone who's just started with me. So my honest answer to him was, you want to try it, you want to give it a go, that's totally fine. Your first few weeks of doing this, things aren't going to be, first couple of weeks of that doing this, things aren't going to be so heavy that you um like are really exhausting yourself on your sets. Everything's going to be pretty easy. You won't make as much of progress as he would if I knew I could push him a bit harder, because I know his recovery wouldn't be compromised. But I said to him, we'll just keep it kind of technique based for the first few weeks. We will be adding weight, but we won't be as aggressive with it as we would. Okay. He had kind of set himself that a challenge. He knew he needed to change something about his diet and his lifestyle. He was feeling he was overweight. He wanted to lose some weight. and he moved to a ketogenic diet, and he gave him the target of doing it for 45 days. And I just said, okay, how many days have you got left? Well, I've been doing it for about 20, so I've got 25 days left. So I said, okay, I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but be aware of these are the things I talked about. Your training might not go as well as it could do. Okay. The reason a ketogenic diet works is because after a couple of weeks, when you had that really low carb situation, you actually kind of stop craving carbohydrates, and your appetite goes way down. So that is what causes you to, it'd be really easy to be in a calorie deficit at that point. And the calorie deficit is what helps you lose weight. Initially, what's going to happen is the first probably 7 to 10 days, you're going to get a sharp drop in weight. Smudge or something on my pinky. Because your muscle is going to be getting rid of muscle glycogen. Okay, you're going to use that up, and with that comes water as well. So that first dip in the body weight is more to do with you losing water and muscle glycogen than it is to do with fat. You might lose 5 or 6 kilos in the first 10 days or so. That's not fat. You start eating carbs again, you're going to put all that back on. Okay, this is the difference I have to get through people about them, their weight on the scale, and what is actually happening to their body composition. Your body composition, just because your weight goes down doesn't mean your body composition got better. Okay, you can actually make your body composition worse by losing weight. Okay, so say you're 30% body fat and you lose 10 kilograms. If 2 kilograms of that is fat and 8 kilograms of that is lean tissue, your body fat percentage got worse. Okay, because you've were 30% and you're now more than 30% body fat. Okay, now you might experience some health benefits from losing 10 kilograms, and that could be remedied in the future. We start putting some muscle back on, but really to lose 10 kilograms and for 8 kilograms that to be muscle is not a good situation. You don't want that. Muscle is really hard to put on, and you want it once you've got it, you want to be putting on more, or you want to be preserving what you've got. Okay. What was the second question? The second question was, if I'm a skinny guy, what do I want to be doing to put on weight? Okay, so there's another client who's just started with me recently. So he's asking me, what are the things that I need to do to put on? So he was mid 60s kilogram wise, and he wants to be. I've given them a target of kind of 80 to 82 kilograms. He's 5'10". He's fairly skinny just now, 80 to 82 kilograms. He's a strong kid. He's like well muscled. He's quite lean, but he would look so much better and perform better and feel better and be less prone to injury if he put on some weight. So, young guy that age, probably gonna have to, because he's so active. He's just like everything's jacked up to 11 in terms of like testosterone. Sometimes it can actually be quite hard to put on weight. So what I've said to him is we have to gradually increase your calories. Usually trying to take maybe 150 to 200 calorie step every 10 to 14 days. Okay, so the amount of calories he's eating just now, I cannot expect them. We tracked, had a talk through his diary, food diary, and it was somewhere between 22,000 and 2,200 calories a day. Okay, and that was fine to maintain where he's at, but it wasn't good enough to be putting on. Okay, so then over the next couple of months, we're going to try and get him up to like the mid 3,000s, somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 calories a day. How we're going to do that is the first stage of giving that is like he needs to keep eating what he's eating right now. He needs to add 3 eggs to his breakfast. Okay, and he needs to add a glass or like a large glass twice a day or 3 medium-sized glasses of whole milk. Okay, that's really about all he needs right now. Okay, Now, as he begins to train with weights, hopefully his appetite will upregulate and he'll not feel like he's having to just wolf that down. But that's the good thing about milk. Your body is not great at regulating for calories that you drink. Okay? If you, oh, a wee glitch there. If you make sure that, see if YouTube can reconnect me. Anywhere you can get milk is good. Good fats, good proteins, good carbs, and it's available pretty much anywhere. Okay, so if we do that, we add probably about those 3 eggs and that milk. We add probably somewhere between 400 and 500 calories a day to his diet. So that's taking him up to like high 2000s. That's a really good start. Okay, that's a really good start for him, and we'll try and increase his meal size, increase his portions, probably more meal frequency as well. He is working quite a hard manual job, so he spends a lot of energy doing that as well. So that's another factor we have to take into. So if you are skinny and you're trying to put on weight, there's no two ways about it. You got to increase your calorie intake. And I would suggest that your first couple of weeks you track what you're actually eating. So don't change anything. Track what you're actually eating at least for 2 weeks, and then count the calories, everything. Try not to eat way more than you would normally eat. Try and eat roughly, and then you can see where your starting point is. So let's say you do that for 2 weeks and you're eating 1,800 calories a day. You want to have a goal in mind, body weight goal, and usually no more than 1% body weight change per week. That's a good goal to go for. So if you weigh 100 kilograms, you're trying not to put any more than 1 kilogram a week. Okay. If you end up doing more than that, that's fine. But what will happen is, like, as you get deeper and deeper into that, your body kind of becomes resistant to that, and you do need to take phases where you cut back a little bit, build the bulk and cut phase. Okay, phases where you are trimming off some of that unwanted body fat to keep your body composition within that kind of 18 to 22% body fat range, which is a good healthy range for most young guys, and then like kind of 22 to 26% for females. Okay, so that kind of cycle, and that doesn't mean you starve yourself when you're on a cut, and it doesn't mean you're an absolute glutton, hedonic glutton when you're on a bulk. Okay, it means you do things smartly. Give yourself plenty of fruits and vegetables, plenty of lean meats, maybe the odd not so lean cut of meat. If you are on that bulking phase for the extra calories, plenty of milk, plenty of eggs, plenty of rice, plenty of meat, plenty of vegetables, all that good stuff. Okay, check your body weight, and then hopefully you see it go up. Okay, if you see it stop, so you start eating more than you currently are, and your body weight starts going up. If your body weight stops for more than 2 weeks, then you probably need to reassess, do your tracking again, reassess where you are, and then either bump the calories up because you were eating maybe a bit less than you thought you were, or reassess and then maybe see your weight start ticking up again. Okay. Find ways and strategies to get more in. Okay. And the third one was a client of mine who tweaked his back when we were doing some block pulls. So it was a kind of, it wasn't a huge event. It was just, I felt that in my back a bit sore. I'm going to stop there. We just stopped. So immediately, what you want to do is reassure yourself that, okay, it's maybe a bit sore, it's maybe a bit tender, but you're going to be okay. Okay, it's not the worst thing in the world to tweak your back. It just takes a bit of patience, and manage your own expectations. Don't expect yourself to come back the next session and pull a new PR on your deadlift or whatever pulling variation you're doing. Okay. Um, what we did with this client is we took some weight off the bar. So it was around about 100 kilograms he was doing. So we stripped it down to 60, and then we just did a few reps at 60. That was a bit sore, but it wasn't as sore as he thought it was going to be. So at that point, he goes, oh, okay, that's not as sore as I thought it would be. That again calms him down. So that's what you can do as well. Immediately after that, we went and we did some reverse hypers. Okay, so we've got a reverse hyper station in the gym at OBS, and I didn't put any weight. I didn't even have him with the sled on it. I just had him lift his legs up. So nice and relaxed, so get some traction and lift his legs up, get some blood pumping to the lower back. You can do that if you want. That's just something I tend to do. Actually, if I've got people who have got a history of lower back pain, I will almost every session I will get them to do just even if it's body weight. Eventually, I'll get to the point where they can do 20-25 reps with that easily, and then I'll start adding some weight to the sling and getting them a bit of resistance on it. Okay. If you've ever done reverse hypers before, you'll know what and you've done them heavy, you'll know what a lower back pump feels like, and it feels weird and quite awesome at the same time. And getting some blood flow into an area that doesn't have a lot of blood flow to it is quite challenging sometimes. Reverse hyper is a good way to do it. So then the next session, he had a session where he was squatting. So what I said to him was just see how it goes. If you experience anything, you get a wee tweak, just cut it short, and I'll see you next time, and we'll do some kind of rehab stuff to fix it. Okay. So then that was, and then he came in to see me the next time, and literally what we did, it was an upper body session he was doing with me. So we're doing bench press and overhead press. But what we did is in between those, there's not much work for your back on on bench press and overhead press. In between those sets, we did supersetted with his bench press. We did seated good mornings just with the empty safety bar. Okay, so we went down as low as you can go. So seated good morning, you're sitting on a box or a bench and you're leaning your torso forward, keeping your lumbar flat all the way up. Lumbar and thoracic extend, keeping your back into lumbar and thoracic extension. And that's just to put some work through the back. And I just told them just go down as low as you're comfortable. The key for that is no pain. We want to find a range of motion where there's no pain. So we did like 3 sets of 8 or something with just the empty safety bar. So we superset that with his bench press. So once we'd finished your bench press, we then did overhead press, and with that we did above the knee rack pulls. Okay, we probably could have went. So we started kind of mid thigh, and then that was just a bit too easy. It was fine, no pain. So we went down to like just below the kneecap, just above the kneecap. So a bit more of a range of motion. And what I got this client to do was to really focus on hinging at the hips. And I said to him, right, imagine you're buried in sand up to your knees. Because quite a lot of people, when they've got a back tweak, what they'll try and do is like as the bar is going up their thighs, their knees will come back under the bar, so they can get their hips closer into the bar and then shorten the moment angle on their back, and it'll feel better on their back. But what I really wanted, I want the back to work. So I want him to stay leaned over and really sit back with his hips, lean over, and not let his knees tuck under the bar, which can happen, okay, especially in an above the knee rack pull. So and I moved it down one, so it's basically on his kneecap. So that was supersetted with his press. And then to finish, we did like a little circuit with reverse hypers, lat pull downs, and rolling dumbbell extensions. So like the lat pull downs and the rolling dumbbell extensions, nothing really to do with the lower back, where his tweak was. You're kind of working upper back, biceps, mid back, and then the rolling dumbbell extensions, you're working your like long and short head triceps down into your kind of lats area. So and then the reverse hyper, again, that was kind of like the same thing we did when he first tweaked it, flushing some blood through the back. Okay, He then went home, and I got a text message from him later saying, my back feels 100 times better, almost no pain, like from like a 5 or a 6 out of 10 down to like a 1 or a 2 out of 10. Like he was getting pain actually just driving his car, and he said he drove the whole way home without any pain. So the idea is that we start to progress those 3 movements. So probably not the reverse hypers, probably the above the rack pull and the seated good morning. And we do that. I'll do that initially, probably adding weight to the rack pulls and adding reps to the good morning. Okay. Um, and that's a good strategy for now. Everyone's back pain can be different, but that's a good strategy I've found with most people. If you can get them to trust you and say, "Look, we're gonna get through this." Like quite often, people come to me and they have a history of back pain, and I'm trying to get their back stronger, and their expectation and their fear that they're going to hurt their back will actually override what's actually happening. And that's a bit of playing a bit of psychology with them, try and get them to trust me. And I've had clients where that's worked, and they've come out the back end of it, and they've never had a sore back uh, really ever again. And I've had clients who's went the other way, and it's not been quite so successful. But we have to move on to other things for them. But getting your back stronger is the best way for doing that. Okay. Um. So yeah. So that's all the questions that I've had from my clients for the Q&A. I will post this on Facebook, on all my social medias. So I'm Coach James Corbett. I do online and in person. I do online coaching wherever you are. I do in person coaching in Scotland, in Ayrshire and Clydebank. And I'll put my website. Well, I'll put my website in the comments. Obviously, this is the first one I've done of these on YouTube live, so I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know how it's going to go. It might be good for people to go back and watch later at a later point, and they can put more questions in the comments. If you've liked this, if you found it useful, hit the like button, please, guys, and hopefully I'll see you again for another one. Cheers. Thank you.